Imagine everything you thought you knew about healthy eating being turned upside down. In today's video, I'm reacting to a new documentary that exposes the dark side of the sugar industry. Eye-opening investigation that uncovers how sugar is hidden in almost everything we eat and how it's impacting our health. If you haven't clicked on one of my videos before, I'm Dr. Ashley. I'm a PhD nutritionist, registered dietitian, weight loss expert, and the founder of PhD Weight Loss, where we've helped over 7,200 people drop over 260,000 pounds across the US. I'm here to provide you science-backed information so that you can drop weight, achieve optimal health, and keep the weight off for good. All right, let's dive in.
The industry doesn't have to tell us how much they've processed the food we're eating. The USDA released the first mandatory nutrition labels on food in 1990. By listing ingredients only, they masked what processing was doing to the product.
Problem is, it's not what's in the food, it's what's been done to the food. And you could not tell the difference between sugar that's, say, in fruit versus that which the company added.
As refined sugar becomes a key ingredient in almost everything.
So we know that high sugar intake increases our triglyceride levels. The main thing that we can do to reduce triglyceride levels, which is a bad type of cholesterol, is to reduce sugar and reduce carbohydrate intake. We know that sugar intake increases inflammation and insulin resistance. Anything that says otherwise is likely funded by big food, sugar lobbyists, big pharma. The sugar industry has manipulated research for years to downplay the negative health impacts of sugar. So I have in 1960, the Sugar Research Foundation funded research that shifted the blame of heart disease from sugar to fats. Crazy.
The sugar industry was very good at following a line that tobacco industry has done quite well in, which is to obfuscate science.
How the sugar
Exactly what I just said.
The sugar industry paid scientists to find either that sugar had very little to do with a range of public health outcomes, or more successfully pointed the finger away from sugar towards fat. And that's why you had, through the 1970s, a very successful deflection by the sugar industry of regulation away from itself towards the regulation around the consumption of fat.
Are you making the most of your Marvel? Marvel makes cooking deliciously light and helps keep you looking just right when used in a calorie-controlled diet.
And so this started the low-fat craze. Example of that, skim milk. Turns out that dietary fat was actually good for us. Dietary
Skim
fat
milk is the worst.
Actually suppressed cardiovascular disease. We took that out. And so basically, we engineered our products to be toxic.
He's exactly spot on. We totally engineered our foods to be toxic. We're eating so many poisonous foods now, filled with sugar, with the fat taken out of it. As we eat these poisonous foods, we poison our bodies. It increases the amount of belly fat that we've got on our bodies. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that the visceral fat, the belly fat, secretes its own hormones that poisons the body to continue to allow it to grow and get bigger. So it is this negative cascade. Skim milk. I'm so glad that he mentioned skim milk. I hate skim milk. It's like one of the worst things that we can consume because they took out the good healthy fats and all it leaves is the sugar. Skim milk, it offered in schools, I think is wild. A lot of schools are moving toward now giving back the kids and the children the whole milk because they're realizing that those who drink whole milk are actually leaner than those who consume skim milk. I found through all of my studies and just through my personal experience that anything man-made is inferior to what Mother Nature makes. And we can see this happen over and over again, but despite that, we keep trying. We keep trying to overcome and override Mother Nature. Here are some examples that I thought of. So skim milk versus raw whole milk. Like they're two totally different beasts. Skim milk is junk and raw whole milk is nutrient dense and life-giving. Baby formula versus breast milk. We know which one is superior. Margarine versus butter. Back in the day when when the sugar industry was placing blame on fat, the fat lobbyists started to think, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And so they created margarine. And there were all these ads showing how margarine created in these labs with clean stainless steel were far superior than butter that we get at the farm. And little did they know that Mother Nature and the butter that we can get from a real farm is so much much better than the heart disease causing margarine that man makes. Canola oil versus tallow. Like tallow is so much superior than the inferior canola oil. Mother Nature always wins.
The sugar lobby extends to both the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Food and Drug Administration, the government divisions meant to regulate the industry.
The heads of each of these organizations can come from the industry. They go back to the industry. They make sure that other people from the industry go back into government. And so there is this revolving door that basically keep the USDA and the FDA from being able to be overhauled. It's known as agency capture, and the USDA and the FDA are the most famous captured agencies in American government.
In fact, the scientific committee that reviewed the dangers of sugar for the FDA was led by a man named George Irving. He was also a paid consultant for the sugar industry.
So he was responsible for that safety review of sugar. And that's a common strategy, is to get industry-friendly scientists on these review committees.
It works for the food industry.
Of course he was.
And ultimately, it works for government too, because they make $56 billion off the tariffs each year.
So this makes me so upset. It makes me feel like we are controlled and manipulated by such negative forces that we can't really trust anything that we're told. They don't have our best interest at heart. It's always driven by profits. You know, the U.S. Dietary Guideline Committee. So these are the people who get together every 5 years and determine what we eat, what the guidelines are for us Americans. Well, a study came out showing that 95% of the committee had conflicts of interest with big food and big pharma industries. So 95% of the people who create our dietary guidelines have ties with Kraft, Kellogg's, General Mills, and Abbott, and more. I think that's insane. My Plate represents the biggest industries and their wallet size. That's it. Has no interest in our overall health and well-being. So now you know why the guidelines push these high margin, low protein, addictive grain, sugar, refined, oil-based products. It has everything to do with their wallet and their profits, and not anything to do with us and our health.
$1.4 trillion a year, of which $657 billion is gross profit. There's a lot of money riding on this.
Wow.
Healthcare in America cost in 2015 $3.5 trillion. Of that, 75% is chronic metabolic disease, of which 75% of that could be reversed if we went back to the way we ate back in 1970, before this chronic metabolic disease pandemic took off like a moonshot. 75% of 75% of $3.5 trillion is $1.9 trillion a year going down a rat hole. And 62% of all healthcare dollars are paid for by the US government. That is $1 trillion a year that the government is paying so that the food industry can make its $657 billion. This is unsustainable. And all that happens is that healthcare goes down the tubes, our personal health continues to shorten our lives, and we are immolating the planet in the process.
Yeah, so it's just all driven by profits. Highly profitable consumers and customers become highly profitable patients. You know, he does such a great job talking about this problem in dollars, but we're not looking at it. And I think we need to look at it in lives lost, in years lost. It is such a tragedy. You know, that's why I'm so passionate about what we do at PhD Weight Loss. It's not just about dropping the weight. It's about informing people of what's happening and informing people so that they understand what foods really are healthy and bringing them back to the root cause of their suffering, which has nothing to do with them. It's all because of what we've been told we need to eat by, our government and our guidelines that don't have our best interest at heart. I'm so passionate about what we do because we can increase not just the quantity of life, but the quality of those years that we get to spend with our friends and families and loved ones and kids and grandkids. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about this in the comments below. As always, please subscribe to this channel so we can positively impact more people and get the truth out to more folks, that they can increase the quality and quantity of their lives as well. I'll see you next time.